What is up, everybody? Saltiest Gaming, and we're back. New day, new time. What is up, everybody?
What's up? What's up?
Hey,
Yo.
what's going on? What's going on? Oh,
Jesus.
you all right there? It sounded a little scratchy.
What's going on, people? What's going on?
That sounded like a dying dinosaur from Monster Hunter World.
Oh, damn.
Shout out to Nintendo out there.
Nick, we miss you, buddy.
Let's get
Yes,
some
sir.
quick shout outs here. Stinking Corpse, what is up, brother? I know you're always here, always supporting. Michael Monkey Punch 77, what up?
Much love.
Who else is in here?
You got Lunch Bizzle.
Lunch
What up,
Bizzle.
Lazy Black Gamer?
Lazy Black Gamer, Ernie. The list goes on. Nintendo Fury is now Nintendo Direct, so don't get confused. It's not a new guy, all right? He's in here.
Same dude.
Yep. Lex Hazard,
dude,
what's
same
going
guy.
on, man? Hey, thanks. You know, new date, new time. We got a special guest tonight. Tonight is going to be hotter than SpaghettiOs that you left in the microwave. So it's going to be hot, guys.
Oh,
it's
God,
going to
that's
be
lava, man.
exciting, you know? So we're happy to be here. So what do you guys been playing before we get into the topics tonight? You guys been
Monster
playing
Hunter.
anything new? Monster Hunter?
PUBG.
Call of Duty.
I play PUBG at night when I'm like, yeah, I know I can win right now. I'm not gonna play during the day.
Yeah. Hey, we played some Star Wars Battlefront last night, and surprisingly, with the changes, a new update went in. It's way more rewarding. Doesn't feel as much like a free to play mobile game. So that's cool. We had some good times last night. It was me, Dealer, my friend Shameless. Nick was trying to get in there, but he didn't get in there. Native, you were in there, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, that game is. If you bought Battlefront and you went away from it's a pretty good time to come back right now because they're trying to make it more rewarding. You get credits for playing the game, and things are easier to unlock. It's not going to remedy the lack of guns and attachments and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it's fun, man.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the revisit if you haven't in a while. So
Yeah.
Are
download
the
it,
loading
give it
times
some
still
love.
ridiculous?
Yes.
If you
That's
have
all
the
I can think about, man.
if you have the Xbox One X, it's not as bad, but it's okay.
Still not great.
It's not as bad for the Xbox One X, but you're still having to spend a majority of the time waiting for everyone else who doesn't got one.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What else?
Very nice.
Monster Hunter, Newf, what have you been playing?
Oh fuck! What have I been playing? Like yesterday, I was playing some Bayonetta. I just had an urge to go back and play that game because I've never finished it. So some retro, old school stuff. I was even playing Conquer Bad Fur Day earlier tonight. So yeah, some retro stuff. But in the meantime, a little bit of COD the other day. A few things. Been playing some stuff on PlayStation lately. That sort of thing. So just kind of a mix mash of everything.
Yeah. That's cool. Bayonetta, huh?
Good, very
Was
good.
it?
Hey, I still need to go back and replay that and finish that because with that being backwards compatible and they just announced that Vanquish went back compat. Oh man, I need to go back to that game because that game was fun.
Yo, I got to bust a little rhyme for you here.
Oh, do it.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
Nintendo Direct, he be playing on the Switch, be tapping those buttons like Cletus taps his bitch. Yo!
New hotness 2018. Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, if someone likes to make beats, if we can get a beat going on that. Nintendo, your new intro. You're welcome.
Yeah, there you
You're
go.
welcome.
There you go.
Oh man, that's gonna get Cletus more attention than anything else.
He's like, that rhyme was fire. Great.
Oh, man.
Good stuff, man.
Lazy Black Gamer, no, he says.
Roast.
What do you mean? No, come on,
No.
man. That was
Hey,
good.
if you, hey, Lazy Black Gamer, if you can do it better, you hop in here, man.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
guys
that was straight
ever want your intro rap song? I'll be able to rhyme it for you. Someone else can put the music to it. But yeah,
That was straight off the dome right there.
that's straight off the dome, baby. Heads up, that's improv. Man.
quickly
Turn this man's
becoming
headphones up.
quickly becoming Saltiest Rapcast.
So we're just gonna sit here and spit rhymes all day. Let's do it.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, man.
And I'm out. It was like,
I'm a white fat rapper from Newfoundland. I said, who needs a woman when I got my hand?
Oh shit.
they just keep getting better.
Oh god. Yeah. Oh, Newt, they want to know when you're gonna drop your mixtape.
I'll be dropping it right after the next turd coming up.
He's out on these streets dropping mixtapes. Stay tuned
Oh,
for that.
Oh,
He's
man.
dropping mixtapes like he drops spaghetti all over the place.
That's right.
Damn.
Shout out to Britty. Shout out to Britty. What up? Thanks for being here. So anyway, let's get into these juicy intros. Our special guest, Nukem, is a fun-loving, no-chill type of guy. He owns all 3 current systems and loves video games. He's on 2 podcasts in the community, X Power on Monday and Xbox Nation on Wednesdays. He also has a show on Mixer called Mixing It Up with Newf that you definitely should check it out. The one, the only Newf Nukem. What is up, my friend?
That reminds me, Salty, I got to get you on here soon. You got to be coming up on that list here. So definitely got to get you on there as well as everybody else that's on this panel. That's my intent, is to try to get everybody, through eventually here. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man. Appreciate it. It's great that you moved it to Thursday night. I think it's a more convenient time. I think opens up for more viewers to catch the show live. Great. It's a pleasure to be here. Like I said, I know all you guys. You're fantastic, and I always have a lot of fun on podcasts. And hopefully at least once in a while, I can bring, some common sense or no sense or some fucking thing to somebody's show. It's a little bit of both. So Cletus is always hanging around too, so it's all good. And Arnold's in the background somewhere too, so it's all good. But no, thanks for having me.
So we like to do this. It's a little, you see it in the community, but people let's hear your background when it comes to gaming. When did you start, and what kind of systems did you own up to current day?
I'll try to keep it quick, but let's go way back. For me, it started out, believe it or not, with the Sega Master System. For some odd reason, my friends kind of weaned me over to that system. That's where I kind of started. Then I picked up the NES, and my love for video games have grown ever since. I mean, I've owned just about every console from every manufacturer, with the exception of a few oddballs here and there, like the Panasonic 3DO or the Neo Geo or Atari Jaguar. I've never owned those systems. They never really appealed to me. Never had enough games I liked, and never had, and the prices were always kind of wacky. But I mean, Sega was always my go-to. I always loved their sports games. I love games like Revenge of Shinobi and Afterburner and Outrun and Streets of Rage. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Sega has a rich history in arcades, and I spent a lot of time in arcade as well, playing some of their games. Great. But I mean, Nintendo has a place in my heart as well. They've had some of the best games over the past several decades, that sort of thing. And then of course eventually moved into the PlayStation generation, got onto the Xbox 360, etc., etc. I mean, it goes on through, man. So yeah, I've got a vast history of games. I've owned just about all the consoles right now. I've got the 3 main contenders, I guess you could say, with the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. Pretty happy right now at the moment. It's a good time to be a gamer, man. There's so much to play. Games have never been better. I mean, there's some hang-ups, some hiccups with the games these days too. Exciting to come home and fire up a game and have fucking 10 gigabyte patches and large install bullshit that kind of comes with today's modern gaming. But outside of that though, gaming is fantastic, brother.
Awesome. So if you could name your top 3 games of all time, I mean, you could dip into any system, any time period, what would it be?
Oh, that's
Gears of War, but I would take the Ultimate Edition because obviously it's a better version of the original classic. So I'd go with Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Got to have a Gears game on my collection, and there's nothing better than the original. The characters, the storyline. That game to me is still a modern day classic, or will be a classic pretty soon. I'd take Gears. I mean, you can never really go wrong with a Zelda game. I mean, I could easily take Ocarina of Time. That was a fantastic game as well, going back to the N64 era. And
Link to the Past is still the best.
Link to the Past was good. Wow. And honestly, I probably would even one of the Tomb Raider games. Maybe the Rise of the Tomb Raider is a game that I love dearly. One of my favorite games of any generation. Big Tomb Raider fan, excited for the movie to come out. I mean, there's so much. It's a very tough question because there literally is so much on my on my repertoire or resume that I could pick from, but I like those games. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. The history. I'm sure people appreciate it. It's nice to hear from the people in the community and get kind of a background. You know, get some information, some nuggets there. I definitely like your list. Yeah, it is tough to pick 3 out of a history of gaming, right? It's interesting. I think I was asked my top 5 on the Iron Lords podcast. Shout out to them. And I did a pretty good job, but it's tough to say the least. Chat, what's your top 3? If you want to talk about it, let's do it. Getting to the panel, we have a new full-time panel member. His name is Bloody Knuckles. What's up, buddy? Good talk. Good talk, bro. Next up,
Mike's being a little dumb right now.
Okay, there he is. He's a little gun shy here, guys. The one, the only, Bloody Knuckles. What's up, man?
What's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing? I'm doing glad to be back here and glad to be a full-time. It's a real fun time for me. So, it's just good to be back. I don't know what to say, just being out here is always a fun time.
So since everybody needs to get to know you, I just want a quick history of your gaming, if you can.
Oh, well, just not much. Been just gaming as much as I can. I know I've been doing a lot of Monster Hunter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, doing things like been getting back into Need for Speed. I played the new Need for Speed Payback. It's really not as bad as people say, but other than that, my gaming history just kind of goes around. Grew up on PlayStation, played a lot of Nintendo back in the day on the N64 and Sega Genesis. Probably my original portable game system was a Game Gear, if anyone knows what that was.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The battery eater.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Battery eating machine.
I was thinking it, man. And
that's when batteries were an arm and a leg, and your parents wouldn't buy that shit for you.
That thing took more batteries than Pam Anderson took dicks.
You're not joking about that, man. You'd be killing batteries. You'd have to get like the expensive 20 packs all the time just to feed that for like a week.
Yeah.
You got a week out of it? Good for you, sir.
I don't know. If you bought batteries, damn.
All these like 5 minutes in, Newf's got our fucking podcast demonetized already.
I don't mind, dude. It's all about. I want to have the most entertaining podcast and just a chill podcast. I don't care, man. We're all about just talking and shooting the shit, man. It's just kind of like cracking open a beer. Shout out to all the homies in the chat. Let's get a beer drop in the chat. I know that's going around. Rocky, what's up, man?
Let's go beer.
So next up, we got the most irrelevant native around. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on, everybody in the chat? What's going on, panel members and Nukem? Thank you for jumping on, man. I appreciate you, and I love the stuff you're doing with the mixing with Newf, dude. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's I wouldn't say unique per se, but it's been working out really well. And my intent with that is just to really introduce people to our community, because we got so many wonderful people in the community. A lot of people, they know that they're associated with a podcast, but not a lot of people know what makes them tick or how they got into gaming and their backgrounds and stuff like that. And, and every one of us has used the launch pad, whether it be a smaller podcast, of course, to build our brand, to build our names and see where it kind of goes from there, and I'm still building mine, but I'm always down for podcasts. I really appreciate it when I'm invited to things like this.
That's awesome, man. Well, again, I'm glad you could join us. But nothing much, man. Just chilling, playing PUBG a hell of a lot, dude. I've been pissing myself off pretty much damn near every day just with that freaking game. I get to top 10, and for some reason, I don't know if I just choke or if people are just that damn good at the game, and I'm just being taken out left and right. But
well,
like
you're used to choking, so just
kidding. Is it true you don't gag anymore?
So anyway, native put something on Twitter. He happened to get a gameplay clip of mine last night after he got killed. Of course, I was getting towards the last 10. It was doubles that we were playing. And he happened to get the clip where I botched the grenade throw and almost killed myself. And then I got shot in the head. And he's like, "Hey, check out Saltiest's throw or whatever."
Yeah, you just got that phenomenal grenade throw, man.
I failed to get the clip where I mowed down 3 people in like 2 seconds. Before that.
As soon as I started recording the clip, I thought in my head, it'd be really funny if it didn't get the 3 kills that he just got, because those were epic kills, man. He pops out. He pops out of the doorway, turns the corner, and he sees two of them in a window. One jumps out, takes out those two. Another one comes from the other side of the house, takes that dude out, and then he just fails with throwing grenades, and he just gets demolished. He gets sniped in the head. It was perfect. If you haven't seen it, check it out on my Twitter page. It's pretty damn hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty lit, man. I'm not gonna lie. Loving that game. It's super fun. But we have something on the docket for topics tonight. We'll talk about Fortnite's update in regards to PUBG, if it's trying to bury it, but we'll get onto that later. Last but not least, Punk Kiddish Gaming. What's up, brother? I know you have a giveaway tonight.
Yeah, man. Make sure everyone's staying tuned for that, man. I'm gonna drop this $10 Google Play here, probably a little bit later on. Not too early. Got to keep you guys somewhat on your feet. Listen to these great topics we got tonight. Man, you know me, man. Still working on that sleep game. We got like 6 hours in the last 2 days. It's been rough. Yeah. House is hot as hell. It's been warm here, so everything's set on like a winter setting. So I was sweating my ass off last night. The night before that, daughter's crying 'cause she's sick. So. Man, the struggle's been real, dude. It's been real.
All right. Yeah, well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I got into some, that prop hunt that came back on Call of Duty, and I know you said Call of Duty sucks, man, but that stuff is so fun, man. Shout out to Stinking Corpse in Siberia, man, and my good friend Jiggies. That's a good dude right there. It's a good time, man. I could play that crap all night, just like you guys play PUBG. But I actually need to get back into PUBG so you guys can give me that chicken dinner for real.
Yeah, man. It's been a while.
Like the struggle's been real for y'all lately.
We've been on a drought. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll get a chicken dinner coming up. If I have to go to if I have to go to KFC, then I'll get me a chicken dinner.
Just FedEx it to me. Just FedEx it. Next day air.
Yeah, I've just been able to smell chicken ass at this point in time. I can't get used to this fucking thing.
Stuffed chicken dinner up in here.
I feel like Rocky Balboa from that scene where he's chasing the chicken around the yard, and the old guy's like, "Yeah, you gotta catch the chicken rock."
Hey, what commercial is that? Where it's like a insurance commercial. It's like he's hanging a dollar bill from like a pole. And he's like, "Oh, you almost got it.
You gotta be quicker than that."
Remember that? Yeah, you gotta be quicker than that. That's what it feels like.
No, that's not a State Farm commercial, is it?
Geico? I don't know. Dad, do you know what commercial I'm talking about? I know you don't, because it is what it is.
Anyway.
But yeah, let's get into the first topic of the night. We got some good topics on tap. Let's talk about actually, I almost screwed that up. McDonald's to ship 20 million Szechuan sauce packets this month. Didn't see that coming, did you, chat? Didn't think that we were going to talk about Szechuan packets, did you, chat?
We need the Szechuan sauce right now.
Tonight's NPD for Szechuan sauce.
Gonna blow fucking Monster Hunter World out of the water with that one, dude.
Brought to you in part by McDonald's, where you can get a Big Mac for $3. I don't know. All right, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about Rick and Morty, man. Shout out to that show. I love it. The reason why I brought this up is I know there's a lot of fans out there, Rick and Morty. Pickle Rick up in the chat. Let's get a Pickle Rick up in the chat. Anyway, if you guys are interested, you can get some Szechuan sauce at your local McDonald's. And if you're too lazy, you can get Grubhub. So that's the end of that topic.
Cesspool sauce.
That is the end of that topic.
Oh, man, that's great, dude.
Wow.
Great. So let's talk about the games with gold, all right? Long story short, the offering is pretty lackluster, okay? We have one of the main titles one of the few titles that I'm looking forward to is Super Hot, and maybe the Brave game that was a 360 game. You also have Quantum Conundrum for the 360, and then Trials Blood Dragon on the Xbox One. What do you guys think of this offering? Does it suck or does it suck? Let's talk about it. Let's start off with Nukem.
How do I answer it? I guess they're not bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about a person's perspective when it comes to games of gold, and that goes for any month, not just this month in general, because I've always said it depends on, who you are and what those games mean to you. For example, if you don't get a chance to buy a whole lot of games, if you're like, say, if you just got your Xbox One, maybe for Christmas, and you don't have a lot of income, a lot of those games are new to somebody, you know what I mean? And they're going to be, great for somebody. Somebody might not even know about those games, but play them and love them. But, you know, a lot of us hardcore people, I mean, I say hardcore in terms of the fact that a lot of us on this panel and a lot of people throughout the podcast community, we're usually day one buyers. So we go out and buy those games day one, we play them, we love them, then we finish with them. So when they come to Xbox Live Games with Gold, you know, you're just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like nothing really moves the needle because we're kind of done with them. We're not that excited. We know what they are. You know, some of us will go back and play some and refinish them because they're on the backlog, and you know, download them anyway because they're free. But I mean, again, it all depends on where you're looking. But me personally, I'm going to say nay. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs down. Like nothing moved the needle, and nothing's really moved the needle, period, since Game Pass came out. I said this months ago. I was probably one of the first people in the community that more or less made the prediction that when as soon as Game Pass dropped, I said, look out. I said games that are going to come with Games with Gold, they're going to die in terms of the quality of titles we're seeing. And I don't mean quality titles in terms of big AAA experiences, you know, stuff that you actually see on the list and go, oh, like, yeah, I never got that game, or I'd like to buy that game, or, you know, that sort of thing. And we saw that with early games with Gold, like when we had Sunset Overdrive and Rise, and there was WWE 2K16. The list goes on, right? But you've noticed ever since Game Pass came out that those titles have certainly, they've become either like there's some good indie games, don't get me wrong, but they're more or less just indie games at this point. And there's a lot of backwards compatible 360 stuff, some good titles, but again, older stuff, and it makes sense, right? Why would Microsoft want to stick their bread and butter? Why would they want to stick, you know, premium AAA games into Games with Gold and take away from the potential of making a sale with Game Pass? It's that simple.
It's true, man. I'm right there with you when I talk about Games with Gold, because I even went back and looked at the offerings for Games with Gold before Game Pass, and it felt better. You know, you had offerings like Rise, Son of Rome, Sunset Overdrive, some other AAA titles, and now it just feels like months and months that we're getting these indie titles, and 2 indie titles. It's not, you know, it's both indie offerings and then some, you know, random 360 games. But I'm right there with you. It is kind of a 50-50 proposition. Some people say it's not affected like Native. So we'll go to you next, Native. How do you feel about the offering this month? You know, let's get your take.
Well, for me personally, I mean, nothing really stands out to me. The only thing I can think of would be Brave for the Xbox 360, and that's only because of my daughter. She loves those Disney princesses, so I'd love to get into that with her and just have her, you know, try and control her and everything like that. Trying to get her, you know, involved with the controller a little bit more. But like I told you and Nick last night, I already played Mirror's Edge. That's all Super Hot looks like to me. It's just another Mirror's Edge. So it's not something that I'm going to, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to download it just because it's free, and why not? Maybe one day I will actively go into that backlog and just start clearing stuff out. But it's not really anything that I you know, that really stands out to me. I mean, I'm glad that it happens. I'm glad that they do this, and it's an amazing feature, but it's not, this month isn't something that I'm really too excited for. I don't know crap about Quantum Conundrum, so maybe that's something that I'll play, and if that's a multiplayer, then I'd be very, very happy with getting into it with you guys.
It's a puzzle platformer, so if you're into that.
Okay.
If you're a fan of Trials, that other game looks okay. Trials of the Blood Dragon or some shit. So if you're a Trials fan, I mean, that might have some free as well.
Yeah, any when it comes to any kind of racers, I'm just not into it. But I did play Trials back on the 360 a couple times, and that's fun to kill time. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go into it for achievements or plug in 20 hours or whatever. But as far as Game Pass being affecting deals with Gold or games with Gold, I don't think it really has anything to do with that, because the licensing and everything for the Xbox One Game Pass, retaining those licenses and attaining those licenses is a completely different world when it comes to Game Pass, because they're saying, okay, we're going to take these games and we're going to monetize them and sell it for $10 a month. So maybe something will go to you guys for that. You know, maybe like, you know, 2 cents or something per game. Or I don't know how they wouldn't make any money, but there's got to be something more to it than just, oh, look, they have Game Pass and now Games with Gold, or vice versa, and it's gonna they're conflicting each other. I don't think that's true. I don't think that they would, you know, enable those two services to run side by side. if they were going to conflict with one another.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We can all form our opinion on it, but
Exactly.
Bloody, what do you think of the offering this month?
See, my thing on the offering this month is that, yeah, I do feel where some people are saying that they're not great. Me, I'm kind of looking forward to at least the Xbox games, as they were games I've been waiting for a while.
Yeah.
Trials of the Blood Dragon, for me, I've been really looking forward to, is because, one, I never was big into Far Cry, like I said last time, but Far Cry Blood Dragon was awesome. I loved the visual aesthetic of it. It was just off the walls crazy, was neon 80s nostalgia pumped up to 22, wasn't even 11. Like, that one was pure adrenaline nostalgia from like your typical 80s montage jokes, and I loved it. And knowing that they did a sequel in the style of Trials, found it interesting because, one, I like Trials is a game that I truly have that love-hate relationship with, as that it's addicting on trying to master some of those tracks, but it's infuriating when you're trying to get those perfect runs on some of the ones that require you to like barely tap the gas and do like hops across little platforms, and then do like a super backflip to be able to make it in this one little spot to be able to make the track. It's ridiculous, but seeing some of the skill that goes into that game, I love. And this one was very unique because it was very heavily based on the story, as well as a mix of the typical Trials and a side-scrolling aspect of it. And I thought that was cool. And Super Hot was a unique concept that's worked really well. And I've seen so many people play it. I wanted to play it through myself, seeing the kind of content they put out for that game was great. However, the price point that they were putting out when it first came out, I didn't think was worth it.
Yeah.
Like that was my biggest turnoff from Super Hot, is they tried to get more than a lot of people said the game was worth. Now that it's Games for Gold, it's been one that's been really big on my backlog and want. So I'm definitely going to be playing the hell out of that because, like I said, it's one of those games that's very unique in itself.
Yeah, Super Hot is definitely the game that I will play. Looking for when I saw it at E3, I saw the footage. It just looked real unique, had a really unique style and an art style to it, and the music's cool. But like you said, the price point just wasn't there for me, you know. So it wasn't a game that I wanted to go out and spend the full price point. So heck, it's free. It's included in my membership, so I definitely will check it out. Punk, what's your take on it, man? What's going on?
Well, my question, all of us here, I'm assuming we all have Game Pass, right? Or at least tried to try it.
Yeah,
nope,
I do.
It's like, okay, well, I'm saying, because I try to think from the other point of view, the people that never got it, you know, so they are thinking that these games might be good, even if they are, I don't know, not the best of titles, but to have someone else's perspective who doesn't have that or doesn't even want to jump into Game Pass at all, you know, so they can still be super excited.
Yeah, and I've said it with Game Pass before, is that the biggest thing about Game Pass is they give a lot of the older titles that may have been in Games for Gold, as well as just giving a wide selection of games to play for someone who doesn't have a big library. And you got to remember, with Game Pass, it's temporary. Even with them wanting to spice it up by adding a lot of newer titles, or now all the first-party titles in, it's still only a temporary thing, whereas with Games for Gold, these are permanent purchases as long as you have gold. That's the big thing, is that you will always have these in your library, and as long as you have gold, you'll be able to play them anytime. Even if you don't have gold, you'll still have access to those games. You just won't be able to play them until you reactivate your account, but you're not going to lose them in the sense of, you know, you can never play them ever again.
Right. Exactly. And then I was gonna say, you think of the people that are just now going out to, you know, adopt an Xbox in general, you know, so they're gonna more than likely they're gonna get the Game Pass right off the bat, so they're downloading games there for a month.
And I think
now they're getting the games with gold, which is free.
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's plenty there to offer.
Game Pass included with it. They're pushing it.
We always think about ourselves. We're very selfish in that way. We always think about what's Xbox giving me, but we're not thinking about the millions or thousands of people, or whatever you want to call it, that just went out and purchased an Xbox. That's one, they're way younger than us, have never played any of these games, just getting them for the first time. I mean, there's a lot of people that missed the Xbox 360 generation, so a lot of those backwards compat titles are brand new to them. I mean, just because a game is old doesn't mean it's new to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, we got to stop this narrow-minded thinking. Remember as well, Microsoft did not have to give us games with gold, period. They did not have to do it. We were paying the full price long before that came out. Sony, on the other hand, the reason they've been giving good games is because they had to entice people from the PS3 to come over to PlayStation Plus, and the only way you could convince someone to invest from a free service to begin with was to give them a bonus to do it, right? And that was, you know, give them some good games, which is what they did, especially when the PS3 first dropped. I remember they had a lot of great titles on PlayStation Plus because they were trying to entice people into their paid service plan. You know, as you come over the PS4, no, you don't need PlayStation Plus, but you need it if you want to play online, right? But the bottom line is, it's like that's how they kind of weaned people over, was by giving them good games. And a lot of people either continue to subscribe because they continue to give good games, and they continue to bait in a lot of people that are still riding that free play model. There's still a lot of people out there, believe it or not, that have a PlayStation that don't realize that they can't play online unless, for the majority of it, unless they have a PlayStation Plus account, which is kind of weird.
It's true, man. We get caught up a lot of times in ourselves and looking at our preferences in games, and we fail to realize that the majority of the audience, you know, don't watch podcasts. They don't, you know, do the same things as us, and a majority of them are just casual. So these offerings are perfect for those types of people. As far as the offerings go, if they're affected by Game Pass or not, you guys can decide that. But if anything, we'll move on to the next topic. Major Nelson teased something on his Twitter. He was talking about how he had the opportunity to participate in some upcoming features, and he talked about it on Twitter. I'm going to pull the tweet up here. Did you guys get a chance to see that tweet in the news? I want to talk about it and like what it potentially could be. Let's start off with Punk. What do you think he's talking about here?
I've actually tried to think of some things, and the funny thing is, like, I come up blank because like Microsoft has done so much. I mean, you take the Xbox from the beginning of the generation, and like the little things that practically everything that it didn't have, you know, compared to 2018 and where we stand. And I'm blank as far as features go. I mean, they always come up with something very innovative, and you know, something that sparks our interest. And I'm excited for whatever it is, man. It's got to be something good.
Okay. So Newf, did you see the tweet? Like, what do you think it's going to be?
Okay. I think that we can narrow it down to maybe three things. At least I hope these are on the docket. I mean, first thing, avatars. Lex Hazard pointed, Mocha Smiley pointed out in the chat as well, and I agree with them. I think something may have to deal with the avatars because, I mean, you know, Mike Ibarra's talked about that for a while, and apparently they're delayed because we were supposed to get those last year, but now they're supposed to be coming down the road here. You know, I suspect we might see them just after E3 or maybe later in the fall by the time they have that all patched through. So I think that might be one of the things. I think second of all might be an easier and better way to share our online gaming clips and you know, and uploads via like a one button press as opposed to the sort of archaic system they have going on right now, a convoluted system to try to share your stuff. I think that could be it because I know a lot of people have complained about that. And obviously Upload Studio, I think, is due for a major overhaul, or they're ditching it. I don't know, but Upload Studio definitely needs an overhaul. And I think there might be some other great apps coming as well, but I think you're tinkering around with some of that stuff, and there might be some enhancements to Mixer as well, those sorts of things. It's hard to say, but sounds like he's pretty excited about something.
It's true. I have the direct tweet here. It says, I can't wait to tell you about the cool new features coming to Xbox One. I just had a chance to play around with. In due time, though. In due time. So he's teasing like a prude girl on prom night. It's interesting to think about, and I definitely think that you're on the right track there. I think a lot of people are talking about avatars. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if they updated the archaic Upload Studios, because let's be honest, that's been left behind since Sunset Overdrive was a thing. They still have those kind of like animations in there, and it's just completely archaic. So there's a lot of things and a lot of potential here. Native, what do you think this could be, my friend?
Let me just say that's Major Nelson's version of a nipple slip right there.
It's true, man.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to say. It was so vague, but you know, it leaves us up to, it gives us content for videos that we make for podcasts and everything, which is cool. I love speculation. It can be fun at times. But
sorry to cut you off. Nintendo Direct, he's teasing Xbox version of the Labo.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
Okay.
So we're using plastic because it lasts.
So what were you
saying?
saying?
Called the Xbox box.
But no, I was just gonna reiterate what Newf was already saying. Avatars. I think the Avatar 2.0 is probably gonna release soon. I was actually in Mikey Barr's stream about maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and I was asking him, hey, you know, when are these avatars going to come out? Do you know anything about them? And he said, oh, yeah, they're all in the what he had told me during his stream was that they were currently in the employee alpha build. So I guess Xbox and Microsoft employees have their own separate alpha build away from the public alpha build, and that everybody employed by Microsoft is utilizing those right now and creating theirs, and they're doing things with them. So I think that that's where, you know, that ties together with what Major Nelson was saying, since he said I had an opportunity to play around with them. So I have a feeling that that's going to be releasing pretty soon, those avatars. And like I said in the chat, shout out to Lex Hazard, 100 versus 100. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
That was awesome.
360. Yeah, that was such a good game. Like,
that was so fun.
A fun concept.
Speaking of that, that was a great social game. And I remember that when the sessions were live, I would actually play that on my 360 in my living room, and it would be like a big family thing because we would all do it together.
Yeah, that's cool. I hate my family, so that's something different.
That Netflix fucking option where you could go into the little theater with your
that was awesome. That was awesome.
They cut that up before it even caught on, right? It was one of those like features that wasn't promoted very well. People didn't really know. Plus, Netflix was relatively new when that came out. So, like, I think they tried something like that now, it'd be much more successful.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, lots of people joking about the Kinect coming back. Rip on that, dude.
Hey, quick shout out to
if the Kinect's coming back, it's just like Alfpogs, bro. They're gonna come back. I'm telling you.
But quick shout out to Brujo in the chat right there. Custom avatars being used in Sea of Thieves. Similar art style. I don't know, man. That could be something. That would be damn cool. That would be awesome. Damn cool.
Yo, Predator H2O, Mikey Barr mentioned avatars were coming back soon. He also debunked rumors of MS getting Bluehole during last PUBG stream. Thanks for that.
Yeah, we were in the same stream together. Predator, shout out to you, my dude. We were in that same exact stream. Good shit. Good shit.
So yeah, Chad, if you guys could talk about the things you miss, features that they did away with. I know Snap was one of the things that I like, the Snap feature. They totally just washed that away. I wish that would come back. Bloody. What do you think this could be, man? Like, what do you think he's talking about?
I kind of agree that I do believe that it is a lot of the stuff that they've been promising. I do think that it could be definitely the avatars coming back. I know there's been teases about hopefully changes to Upload Studio, because God, that thing is so old and it's archaic as all can be and needs to really be updated, as well as, you know, there could be any number of things. There's stuff that people have been wanting for forever. You know, maybe it's official keyboard and mouse support that people want. Who knows? I'm really hoping for the avatars, because when I saw those at E3 last year, I thought those were awesome. I always love the avatars. The more, like, a lot. I've actually spent probably like $30 way back on the 360 to customize mine. Back then, that was it's awesome. I don't care.
So let's get on the avatar situation. I personally not a big fan of the avatars. I didn't really have them like mess with them on 360, but I know that they're a big thing and a big deal for people. Native, you were talking about the avatars and being excited. Like, what excites you about them specifically? Like, what gravitates you to that? Good talk.
For me personally, it's just being able to, you know, further create something that is unique to you, like with the gamer tag. I mean, if you couldn't create your own gamer tag and you had to go with what they went with, nobody would really care about it. I mean, we probably wouldn't even really. It wouldn't be relevant. But I think having avatars in there is something that you can create, something that you can make either a representation of yourself or whatever you think of yourself, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I think that that's something that a lot of people like. I mean, who doesn't like the opportunity to reinvent themselves? You know what I mean? Who doesn't like that opportunity? Who wouldn't want to take that opportunity to kind of mold themselves into project their own image or something onto something like that? I think that's awesome, dude. And I can't wait for them, because I've seen how they're including, you know, wheelchairs and you know, prosthetics and stuff like that. That is so freaking cool, because there's not a lot that people with disabilities have that same customization. So
yeah,
that tip off my hat to Microsoft with that.
Is he botting to you guys?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a
Okay.
bit.
If you
Was I
yeah,
botting?
just
Well,
bounce
you know
out and then come back in, and then we'll.
All right, sounds good. I'll be
Well,
right
you
back.
know, with Phil's recent speech at DICE, which obviously was about industry change and inclusion, I mean, there's no better way to like sort of bring inclusion into the console space than by having avatars that you can mold, identify with, you know, basically make them your own as an identifier outside of your gamer tag. I mean, one thing that PlayStation actually did pretty well on the PlayStation 3, I'll give them credit, was I don't know if any of you guys ever tinker with PlayStation Home back in the day, but I actually thought that was quite good. It was in beta stage for a long time, but I mean, I saw drastic improvements in that service over a very long time. It was really cool. Like you could literally walk into like this like little city and you could go into a movie theater and actually watch your game or movie trailers like inside of the little theater, and you could buy clothes and basically shop within the game. It was like a virtual world essentially inside of your console. And you know, maybe Microsoft is going somewhere similar with that, but it will definitely give us something more, an identifier, and if be able to take your customized avatars, which obviously will look way better than the old ones. The old ones are very basic. These ones are way better. They're like Disney Pixar quality avatars, and to be able to bring those in and out of a variety of different games. Think about certain sports games, maybe not all sports games, but I mean just various games. Like I said, they seem like they would be a perfect fit for something like Sea of Thieves and a variety of other different games. And if you could come up with like a little social aspect, so like in say a party chat, now all of a sudden it could be like this little room where your little avatars would sit down on a couch together, and you could have your favorite sports jersey on and that sort of thing, and be just a little bit more interactive than just, hey, we're in a party and we're chatting together. You know what I mean? There's a lot of potential there.
It's true, man. It's definitely a feature that a lot of people respect and are looking forward to. It's a way to show your personality. So it's definitely something that is going to happen. It's just when it's going to happen. Shout out to Daniel J with the super chat, $5 super chat. He was saying, if we can get custom controllers, why can't we get custom theme Xbox consoles through Design Labs? Interesting concept there. Definitely something that could happen. What do you guys think about that? Is that a possibility? Is that something you want? What's up?
I was gonna say that it's a definitely one of those things that would be very unique, because you gotta think of too is that with the custom consoles as they are now, when they do come out, they're so few and far in between, and they're so rare, and they're great collector's pieces. Don't get me wrong at that, but I do know a lot of people want to show off the support for games or things that they love, and having that Designs Labs, you know, letting them create and use colors and pieces that they want for their own control that makes them stand out. That's great. And with the consoles, I think it's a great way to kind of let them, one, they're still buying a brand new console. You can put, you know, what a little bit of an upcharge for the paying anything to design that, but one, it helps to really let people be unique and express themselves, because that's why I look back in the old 360 days, you had those like sticky skins that you can use to put on the console, or those replaceable faceplates. People like customizing, people like making their stuff unique and the stuff that they want. So I think that them doing Design Labs custom consoles will be very interesting, because even if they have presets to kind of be to start out with, and then see how it builds from there on what people want and expand, they can let, you know, more custom designs come in. I think it would be something to definitely kind of test the waters with and see how that plays out, because like I said, everyone likes customization. Everyone likes to be unique.
Here's how you can do this, and do this without being any cost and any detriment to Microsoft right up front. I actually sent Aaron Greenberg a message about this and told him my idea, and he actually really liked it. Remember back in the day when faceplates first came out on the 360? Well, faceplates were a little bit ahead of their time. You got to admit, like back then, faceplates were the new routine, but faceplates were the precursor to like all these little shells that people build and put on their cell phones. Essentially, that's what it was. I mean, you see how big a business that's become now. That stores popping up every like 10 feet with cell phone selling cases. Everywhere you go now, everybody has a cell phone with a customized case on it. Why can't you do that with consoles? Well, here's how you make it very simplistic and not cost detrimental to Microsoft. Is you basically make the next Xbox console with a lid that's very similar to the Xbox One X, because it doesn't have the vent holes in the top, right? And you make an easy one. One, you could put a skin on that really easy, or two, you basically hire third-party companies would jump in at the bit. You'd have third-party companies licensing the NFL, the NHL, MLB, popular, rap artists, you name it. They could make basically what they call custom lids for your console. Probably cost you maybe $50, something like that, or maybe a little less, depending on. It's obviously a big piece of plastic, right? But just think about that. And all you'd have to do is put a couple of little screws or little snaps on the side of the console when you design it, and you just within a couple of seconds, you undo the screws or undo, say, the little clips, and bing, pop off your old top, put on your new customizable one, boom, everybody wins. Everybody's got their own custom console, and you don't have to friggin' go to the manufacturer and actually have that produced, because you can get third parties to do all that shit. Everybody wins.
Mix and match. All right, let's go.
Yeah,
sure, man.
exactly.
I think the skin option would be unique, right? The skin, because I've seen third-party companies with the Xbox One and other consoles. They have these skins that you can put on yourself. They ship them to you, and there's a process to put them on. I definitely think that would be a way that Microsoft could do this. I'm not sure how much the manufacturing cost would be, and if it would be viable business model for them. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend like I know that, but this is definitely something to look into, at least for the company, because it would set them apart from other consoles. Just having these unique consoles design labs that you could just customize the way you want. Who else was about to talk? I think someone was going to jump in.
I was going to say that yeah, you're not wrong, because even now, if you go on Amazon, you can see Xbox skins already for a lot of things, and these are just like those really thin, like sticky paper skins that you can take on and pull them off. You can do those on all of them, and we're already seeing a high demand for those. Like if they went and full on either did their own first party licensed ones, or actually did the full on customized consoles, I think it would be a nice step. As Newf said, with doing, the top pieces being able to be switched out and being full on customized all the way, that was great, because he made a good point. Faceplates back in the day were very ahead of their time and unique. I had the just really big, thick, spongy ones that you could put on that was Gears themed. But then when they actually came with the custom Gears faceplate, I took that thing off and took off the white faceplate and threw that one on there.
It's true.
Has anybody here actually used the skin though, man? I bought them for my phone. I suck ass at putting those things on, man. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people like the faceplates, because it was already done. You just popped it on, Yeah. So the skins are cool. It's cost effective, but I mean, a lot of people aren't wasting money once you get the damn crease in there. It doesn't go on the correct way.
So that's it. You have the skins for people that don't want to pay like full price for the console lid, but make customizable lids for those who do. Like I said, a couple of snaps or a couple of screws, pop it on, pop a new one on. You could have a different console each and every week when your friends come over. It could be your NFL favorite team one week. The next week you could have your favorite rock band on the top, and that way, like I said, Microsoft don't have to spend a ton of money producing the lids themselves. Like in their factories, they just get third-party people to do it, and man, like everybody wins. Microsoft would like have a hit. Third parties would be jumping on board with this shit. Why wouldn't they? Because I mean, they make a ton of money on those customizable things. Everybody knows when it's computers or tablets or phones, they don't make much on the actual product. They make all their fucking money on their headphones and their little cases and shit. That's where the money's at, man.
It's true.
Exactly. Yeah, man. The one that I seen, the skin that I really liked that I seen on Twitter actually was the that original Xbox one that somebody had slapped on their Xbox One X. I don't know if you've seen that, but that one.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
that one's slick. But I mean, if you did hire a third party, company to make those things, you can those kind of companies with the deals that they get buying in bulk, you can get those skins for about 70 something cents each one, and then sell those for $10-15. So I mean, I don't see why Microsoft wouldn't jump on that. You know, that's just something that I was thinking about.
So it was a great topic, and thanks for that super chat. If you do a super chat, we will get to it and try to discuss it if we do have the time. We definitely will read your super chat off.
Thank you.
It was definitely, and it doesn't have to be just a super chat. We try to get to the topics in the chat, and read them off. So anyway, moving on to the next topic at hand. NPD came out for January 2018. And surprise, surprise, Monster Hunter World is on top. It beat the likes of Call of Duty and PUBG. It's surprising that this game is just it's blowing up, man. There's no other words to say. We also had some numbers come out for Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's already sold 1 million copies, so props to that.
1 million.
So the question that I want to ask you guys, so Monster Hunter World is on top, and it's on top on Xbox One. There's also been some news about some JRPGs coming out, and I'm going to leave this to the guys that want to talk about it. But do you think the Xbox has turned the corner when it comes to Japanese titles? Let's start off with Newf. You mentioned this topic, so I want to throw it to you. What titles have you heard of that are coming to Xbox? And let's talk about this JRPG situation.
Well, first off, let me just say congratulations to Capcom on Monster Hunter being a huge hit. It's actually really refreshing and nice to see a game like that, become top of the NPD as opposed to like down at the bottom, because it shows there's one support for their product, that franchise. And the only downside is brace yourself. The 500 knockoff games are coming now to copy Monster Hunter success. But no, kudos to them, and kudos that Xbox players are picking this up. I mean, it's not on the same pace as PlayStation, and I didn't think it would be, but Xbox players are buying the game. I see that by my friends with Stallone, like everybody's playing it, so kudos to them. As far as like JRPGs coming to Xbox, it's about damn time. I mean, we've heard fans, whether you like them or not is irrelevant. The thing is, more choice is good, and to have these games on the Xbox platform is good for gamers, period. You don't have to buy them if you don't like them, but if you are interested, at least give them a shot, because we want to show them that Xbox is a viable platform for all games and not just Call of Duties and Halos and Gears and stuff like that. So get your wallets out, buy some of these games, maybe, go try them or something, but give them a shot. Yeah, Wise or Ease, as they call it, that game goes way back to Sega Genesis and the TurboGrafx era, were popular games back in the day. They've since had a bunch of games out through over the years, I think on the 3DS and a bunch of other platforms, PlayStation as well. They're getting a new game. Well, I guess it's a bit of an older game, but Ease Origins, it came out a few years back. Ease came out a few years back. Thanks, Abacab. It came out a few years back, and now it looks like they have an upgraded version, and it is coming to Xbox. There's another one as well. I think it's by Sega, Shining. I forget the last thing. I don't know if it's related to Shining Resonance. I'm not sure if that's related to the old Shining franchises or if it's completely new, but the fact that it's by Sega is kind of interesting. And then we've got things like there's one, I think I put it in the thing, what was it called? Sword Art Online. Yep. So we're seeing 3 or 4 different games recently that are coming over that were normally just for PlayStation. Now they're on Xbox. So it's a good thing. I got a funny feeling that Phil went to Japan, definitely maybe had some conversation with some of these devs and said, look, our platform is still viable. You've got to trust in us like we trust in you. Let's get these games on our platform because so many of our fans are asking for it and we are not giving it to them. So it can't be that hard to port them over. Bring them to Xbox. We'll see where it goes. Some fantastic news indeed. I mean, it's like I said, whether I care about them or not, I might actually try the Ease game. That actually looked quite interesting. But I mean, we got to bring them over, man. There's still a large contingent of Xbox fans and players that want these games. They've been crying for them. As one of the problems we hear all the time from the PlayStation crowd when they look at the Xbox, oh, you guys never get any of the Japanese RPGs. I mean, we hear that fucking so often. Our ears are bleeding. So now we're finally getting some. They might not be the biggest and the best of all of the titles, but hey, it's a start. And if the support is there, we're going to see bigger and better things to come.
True, man. It's definitely interesting to see the fruits of the labors, because Phil Spencer said he was making it a point to bring Japanese titles, and he actually made a trip over to Japan. I think it was in the summertime to sit down with a lot of these developers, and we're seeing the fruits of those labors here. It's definitely like if you Black Desert Online, like all these titles, JRPGs, the ones that you guys, so. We're seeing the fruits of those labors, and this misconception that Japanese titles don't belong on Xbox or they won't sell. Get that out of here. The Xbox needs Japanese titles. We need them, man. There's some quality titles there, and I'm happy to see them coming over. So, Bloody, I know you have a special place in your heart for some of these games. You want to talk about them and let people know about them?
Absolutely. As I said, you know, being the resident anime man, I do have a lot of the knowledge on this and a lot of big things. And I want to point out a thing with Newf, what he said. He's right. It's great to see Monster Hunter top in the charts because it does make a precedent. One, it shows that it doesn't matter about if it's a Japanese game or not. If the game is good, if the game is fun and has that appeal, people will play it. That's the big thing, is if a game is good, it's gonna sell no matter what. And
let's go.
And Monster Hunter was one of those games that people have been looking at for years, since it originally came out on the PlayStation 1 and the way back in the day, and then have seen it on every Nintendo handheld console for the past decade. People have been interested in it, but they just never made it accessible. A lot of the changes that they made for Monster Hunter World makes it great to have for the wider audience, because it means, one, Capcom did a great job on this with everything else that they've been struggling with. But two, it does show the Japanese developers, hey, it doesn't matter if it's on PlayStation or not. If you're putting out a good game, people are going to put on it, and Xbox is showing that support. With mentioning of Sword Art Online, Sword Art Online is another one of those big name animes that most people have heard of. And, you know, this is the first time the Xbox is getting a Sword Art Online game. They have 3 on the PlayStation, and this is the first one to come over, and it's looking really good. It's an action RPG style, and a very open one that is definitely interesting for a lot of people. There's a couple others, as he mentioned, the Shining Resonance. Shining has been a big series for years, and the fact that with Resonance Refrain being a kind of turnaround and a remake, they're bringing over that series for the first time to the Xbox. And that's one of those games that's very old school with the turn-based, that is definitely interesting for people to really look into, because we've seen that with turn-based games, there are some that are good, some that are not. Because look at XCOM. XCOM is very old school turn-based, which is really popular. But if you look at some of the older Final Fantasies like 10 and 12, some people didn't really get into those ones until about 13, when they started going more action-based, which is what we saw in 15. So we need to show that turn-based RPGs are still interesting for people that are into that. Support those developers. Show them that the more that they open those games to us, that's great. Because you also have games like, there's a new One Piece game coming out called World Seeker, open world action RPG, where you can play across multiple storylines within the One Piece universe, if you know that, as well as you get to go through all of Luffy's different transformations, and it's a big beat 'em up. That's the big thing about it. It's a beat 'em up style game. And then of course you have another big fighter with My Hero Academia finally being announced that it's going to come to the Xbox. Like for years, the only anime games and Japanese games that we were getting were all the Dragon Ball Fighter games, which have kind of been half-assed since Budokai back in the PS2 days. Like everything that's come out since then has been very lackluster. We've had a few Naruto fighting games and a few One Piece games, but we're not getting some of the more unique ones that don't come over to the West.
So what happened, guys? We had a lot of support in the 360 days. What happened to the support? Like, why do you think the Xbox went away from that situation? It's interesting to think.
I think part of it was that obviously it's no secret that unless you're PlayStation, right, that a lot of these JRPGs or Japanese games in general have a tougher time finding an audience on the Xbox platform. I think a lot of the developers took a bit of a wait and see attitude toward the generation to see where the Xbox kind of went, you know, and sales, while they've been good, have not obviously risen to the PlayStation status. So I think there was a little bit of that hesitation. And I also don't think, because Microsoft, again, as hard as they tried in the last generation with 360 and still failed, despite bringing out some amazing titles like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, and there was a variety of other games, they still struggled, right? Those games were still just moderate successes, and most most of the time the success came from the Japanese market. 360 failed in that market. So I think Microsoft didn't push very hard when the generation came around. I think they may have overlooked that market and maybe didn't realize there was as much demand now as what there was. But there is a demand, and I think they're starting to see that with some of the support that titles on the PlayStation are getting here in North America. And they're like, we can't ignore like a section of our fan base just because, say, the majority, just like Halo and Gears and Forza and Call of Duties and shit, you can't ignore them because you still got to bring variety. And again, we've seen that narrative now where it's all about, well, PlayStation's got way more games. And it's true. Like, they got way more games because they're getting lots of support. The bottom line is the fans, sure, there's not much they can do about the Japanese market now for Xbox over there. Like, the system can't even sell like 300 consoles, but there is still plenty of work to do here in North America, in Europe, other places around the world where Xbox is relatively popular. They can still do an easy 1.5 to 2 million copies of a game. There's no reason why they shouldn't be. And that's just extra revenue for those companies. So Microsoft's got to step up their game. They got to show the commitment to their fans. And when that comes, I think so too will the development. I mean, we saw like how their relationship is strong with various studios. I mean, Arcane, is it Arcane? No, not Arcane, but what's the studio that did Recore? Most of those guys are popular Japanese developers that made Recore, right? True. So Microsoft still has tight ties with a lot of these devs. I mean, I think Phil and a few people like the guy, what was the producer that used to make Ninja Gaiden? He loved the Xbox. Yeah. What was his name?
I can't remember.
He used to all the time. He used to love the. Remember how Ninja Gaiden of all fucking things was exclusive to Xbox for the longest time. Right? Ninja Gaiden Black. So they have a relationship there. It's about fostering those relationships and just showing that there's support there. And with enough of it, I think we'll see a snowball effect. Those games will start finding more sales. And if they can't do it now for this generation, they have to show the support so that when Xbox brings out their next damn system, they know that shit's coming day one. It's not going to be, hey, do we have to wait? Like, it's going to come day and date with the PlayStation.
Exactly. I think that it's just options, people, like when you limit your options with your system, it's the less audience that you'll reach out to, right? It's the less systems that you'll sell. So the fact that they're bringing these back, the support is being brought back, is a good thing for the system in general. I think it's good because some people that might have looked past Xbox before might take a look. Hey, they're getting support for some of these Japanese titles that I like. Maybe I'll pull the trigger on buying an Xbox when I wouldn't have before. It might be a small audience, but I think it's a good thing. I think options are always good, unless you're talking to fanboys. They hate options and they're no good. So
before we move on, I want to interject right here to kind of go off what Newf was saying. Is he's right that the big thing about it is that the Japanese market supports Sony so heavily because you got to remember it's a Japanese company that just has a big American arm, so they're able to support the American market because it's a Japanese company first. That's the big thing about it, is that they don't and this is a cultural thing, that Japan is very, they don't take risks. Yeah, they're traditional, but they don't take risks that they can't guarantee. And with an American company like Microsoft, as big as Microsoft is, they do have a lot of risk that comes with them and a lot of things that they do. But I think that Phil really showed off his support with his big trip, and that we're kind of seeing some of those people are being more okay and open to taking those risks. And as he was putting it, with Hideo Yoshizawa is the creator of Ninja Gaiden, the modern that came back on the OG Xbox. He really had that strong support, and we've seen that some people really do and are open to those multi plats, because despite how people, especially fanboys, try to use these games as these big exclusives that they have, they're not showing the support outside of Japan. Like Persona 5 is a huge game, but it doesn't have major numbers compared to a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which still doesn't have a huge amount despite being close to 10 million a year later. That's still not even a fraction of the amount that it should be selling as a big console exclusive.
Another super chat from Daniel J, $2. Why isn't Crash and Spyro coming to Xbox? Crash. Let's talk about Crash real quick.
Crash is an issue with Activision.
Yeah, I think there was a behind the scenes deal when it comes to Crash, because there was leaked images about it coming to Xbox, and all of a sudden it just mums the word. So I think it's just money, man. Daniel, do you guys have anything else to say about that? It's just pretty straightforward. I think it's a money situation.
If Crash had been a moderate success or not even that successful at all in the remake, I don't think it'd be an issue. It'd probably been on Xbox by now. But I think what happened when, Sony and Activision got wind of those big sales and the game did, phenomenally well. I think there might have been a loophole in their maybe in their contract that said, if this game does a certain amount of money or a certain amount of sales, perhaps we keep it as a timed exclusive for a longer period of time, because it's just a bonus for trying to sell your platform, right? Like, hey, Crash is only available on PlayStation, at least for the time being. The fact that if you look at the Crash case, it doesn't say only on PlayStation on it. It has nothing on the case. So that's always a leading tale that the game may very well come to another platform. You even look at No Man's Sky. It doesn't have only on PlayStation on it, right? So a lot of those games that don't get that little brand usually mean that there's something in the pipe somewhere. It's just a matter of time. It's like Hellblade. Hellblade is not even a year on PlayStation yet. So don't rule out that it won't come to Xbox. That dev has specifically said they were looking into it and had plans originally. It just might be, and that's the guy's name. Thank you, Omino. Tunmanabo Itagaki. Itagaki. He was the guy from Ninja Gaiden. Yes. So,
it's interesting. It comes down to money. We're not going to spend too much time on this because I want to get to the other topics.
Let's go.
Mixer added a feature to buy games from content creators. This is just another way to. It's just another feature. I just want to touch upon this real quick because I know, Newf, that you do stream on Mixer pretty regularly. It's just a way for the supporters of these content creators to get a cut from buying games from them directly. What do you guys think of this option for Mixer? Do you think it's a good thing? Let's start off with Native. What do you think, man?
Well, honestly, for one, I really like the idea behind it, just simply because it does give you an additional way on top of the subscribing, on top of the ad revenue, to support your favorite streamers. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm pretty damn sure you do, but I'm a moderator for Roby1 Kenobi in the morning during Morning Mixer, and that he's just such a great dude. I mean, talking to him outside of the streaming, he's such a great dude that if I have the opportunity to do more than just subscribe to him or watch the ads on his whenever they play, I'm gonna take that opportunity to do so. And by buying stuff that I know that I'm going to buy, whether it's DLC or it's a microtransaction for a game that he's playing or one that he's putting up, because it actually comes down to the streamer to say, hey, I want to put this one on my – I want that one to be, what's the word? Promoted. I want to promote this on my channel so that way when somebody buys it, I get a cut from it. And like today, he was streaming Fortnite. He streamed Fortnite this morning, and he had on there, he was promoting I think it's like the $10 or $20 microtransaction for the Fortnite V-Bucks or something like that. And there was about 4 or 5 people that had purchased it this morning. And he was like, oh, whoa, this is crazy. I've never, it's brand new and it's exciting. And I'm excited for anybody that streams on Mixer, especially you, Newf, once you get partnered, because I know that's coming, dude. I know it's coming.
A long way, dude. I haven't even cracked. Like 300 followers on there yet. So
you'll get there,
coming,
dude.
Man. It's coming.
I think you're very talented in that.
I don't do enough Cletus, I guess.
Hashtag more Cletus. Newf, let's get your opinion on this, man. Like,
fantastic idea. How can it not be a fantastic idea? Do not underestimate the power of the internet and the power that even some of us small streamers, small YouTubers, et cetera, have, because I've seen it multiple times when I've streamed on Mixer. People would come by and check out the game, never seeing it before. I don't know how many people actually watched me play Mass Effect, for example, and actually decided they would pick up the game because they liked what they saw from my footage. And mind you, some of those games I play half-assed. God knows we all see me play games with puzzles in them, and fuck, I'm like stupid as shit.
Dude, that's where your partnership would come into play, dude.
Yeah, don't put puzzle games on my channel because Newf will get lost. I don't even think 4 lines in Tetris. That's how stupid I am. But But no, like you know, every little influence that we can have, you know, especially when they're positive for it could work the other way too. I mean, we have to take in the fact that you could put a game or promote a game on your channel and you might turn someone completely off, and that could be a bad thing when, like, say if you don't know how to play the game, you look like you're lost or you're not playing, you know, you could go either way. But I mean, essentially, the more exposure a game gets through small or big YouTubers is good, and the fact that they can directly link to a sale right off of your site is fantastic because there's no messing around, there's no looking. You just click the link, you get taken where you go, you find it, probably get a discount on it as well. And again, and it's just good for the Mixer streamer, and it's great for gamers, period. It's another option. It's another great idea. Kudos to them. Keep bringing it on, people.
Yeah, it's just another way to support your content creators out there. You know, they put in a lot of time and effort to bring entertainment to you guys, and it's just a way to support them. I'm not sure what the cut is, but it gives them extra money. It's good. Punk, I haven't heard from you a while. What do you think about this, man?
Honestly, you guys saying it here, it was the first time I heard about it, so I had to went to the Engadget to check it out. It seems pretty dope, man. I mean, personally, I don't watch a lot of stream, not too much. I mean, after I watch Newf and the guys in the community, the guys I like to watch, because I like to hear what they have to say, and especially Newf, man. He's almost like the lone guy I'm almost watching now just because he's fun and entertaining. But like I said, it's pretty sweet. You get to go there, link pops up, and then you can just buy it right there. It pops right up into your like your library to download it. I think that's pretty sweet, man. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, it's true. Bloody, what do you think, man?
I'm kind of going with everyone else is that it is a great support tool that we've seen. I believe they had it on Twitch for a while, or they do have it on Twitch. Is that it's a great way to continue to support streamers. It is just another way to support them. Not everyone is going to do big donations or can't do big donations, or not everyone's going to subscribe to someone. However, if they find that what they're playing is interesting and they truly do want to get involved in that this is a great way for them to, one, as you put it, get a discount, as well as it helps to support the person that you're watching. It's just another great revenue or another avenue that we're really seeing that some of these streaming sites are really doing to push and help kind of build the community and culture that they're building, as well as kind of improving it for their creators. And Mixer doing it now so early on and how long they've been going, that this is a great feature that took Twitch a long time to get. So Mixer's really showing that they do have a great system, they do have a great you know, everything that they're doing, and that they truly are supporting their community and their content creators. And that's a great thing. That there's nothing bad about this.
Yeah, it's true, man. And chat, just let me get a 1 if you would use this feature on Mixer, or a 2 if you wouldn't. I just want to get a pulse of, you know, how many people would actually use it. But let's go on to the next topic. Splash Damage. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. There's been some rumors out there, and I want to touch upon this because there's some interesting things going around when it comes to Gears 5. I know it's a title that lots of people are looking forward to. So there's some job listings for Splash Damage. It's a development team that's worked on Gears in the past. They worked on Gears 4 multiplayer, and they worked on the Gears Ultimate edition. They have a long history of working on FPSs. So anyway, the news came out that Splash Damage is working on the Gears of War 5 campaign through job listings, and this news broke out, and then all of a sudden it's just like, you know, all the sirens go off. You know, Splash Damage is completely taking over Gears 5. It's in trouble, you know, all this stuff. I just want to get your guys' take, because I personally don't think it's an issue. It's kind of status quo in gaming to kind of outsource when it comes to the game developments, because it's so huge. The making these games on the scale of some Hollywood movies and stuff like that, with voice actors and mocap and stuff like that. I personally think that they're just coming in to help them out. I don't think that the coalition is going and working on some side job, because, you know, Xbox already came out and squashed those rumors. So let's talk about this. Did you guys hear these rumors, and what do you guys think? Let's start off with Punk.
Honestly, I feel like nowadays, man, you just feel like we read into shit too much. You know, everyone starts to panicking all the time, and it kind of gets ridiculous. I mean, the only one I never played was the Judgment, and that's the only one that people said that wasn't that good. But all the Gears that I've played, have been fantastic. I've had no issues, and I'm sure even if it was said to us or not, that other people or other developers have probably helped somewhere in that title. So I don't like you. I don't see it being a big issue, man. People just stop reading into stuff too much, man. Like let them do their thing. I mean, just be happy that Gears is in development. Remember, a while back we thought it was lost forever. You know, we're like, oh, no more Gears, and then the coalition took over, and then everyone's happy and everyone's feeling good. So yeah, I think we'll be just fine, man.
Yeah,
that's true. Newf, what do you think of this situation, man?
You know, there's got to be something to it, but at the same time, look, Coalition was started to basically make Gears of War. They dropped a game that they were doing prior to Gears of War Ultimate Edition just to make the Gears franchise. Then they changed their name to Coalition. I forget what they were called before the Coalition, but Ron Ferguson stated a few years ago when he came back on board that he was happy with Gears of War, that he was excited about the franchise again, and that this company, this particular dev, is dedicated to Gears. I think they have the majority of stake in the franchise one way or the other, and they will continue to be that way. I have no doubt that perhaps they're bringing on some extra talent to handle various aspects maybe of the game. That sort of Blue Tusk. Yes, thank you, Christina. Appreciate that. Blue Tusk was her name. But I don't think there's anything like Punka just said, man. People read too much into things and they want to panic and get all crazy. Bottom line, as I have full confidence in Microsoft that whatever they're doing, they're not going to put a AAA franchise in the hands of a dev team that can't pull it off. I think there could be too much damage done here, and people should definitely have learned a big lesson from watching what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda. So, you know, usually the people that work on these games, and Splash Damage obviously has had experience with the multiplayer, they know what they're doing, right? Like the bottom line is story is paramount. That's the key, right? You got to have good writers. That has nothing to do with the coders. You got to write a good story first, and then anybody that's got an ounce of fucking decent talent can code. I mean, things are getting easier with the engines they have. You know what I mean? So, no, I think we're just fine. I think they might be helping. There was also a picture that Jamie Moran shared. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it was called Gears at War Live, and it looks like a real legitimate, like, title screen off of a game, and I'm just kind of wondering what the hell that is. Maybe there's a separate project going on which is more dedicated to Gears as an MLG experience, which kind of takes out the so who knows? I don't know, man, but I think we're okay. I think the Coalition is going to handle this just well. We're in for a hell of a ride with Gears of War 5. They got a big story to tell continuing off the JD, so don't worry, guys. We're still in good hands. Rod's not going to let us down.
Yeah, definitely not. I want to just reiterate that again. Don't freak out about simple little titles. I mean, speculation is always good, but when it goes too far, it becomes toxic. It becomes a thing where people are sending hate to Coalition, saying, I can't believe you guys are doing this, all based off of what? Something as vague as, oh, we're bringing in a third party just to help us out with some stuff. Oh, look at, they're going to, just no, don't do that. Don't send hate to developers. Don't ever do that, because they're making stuff that you play. They're making stuff that you love. They're making stuff that they're creating worlds. Let them create worlds, man. It's just where I'm coming from. But as far as Gears, I am a huge Gears lover. I mean, every single Gear game I've just been in love with. Even Judgment. I mean, Judgment has its quirks, but Judgment still gets love for me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just to agree with Newf, I do think that Splash Damage coming in and doing something. If they worked on Gears of War 4, I have no problem with them coming back in and doing something else, because the PvP is phenomenal. I've heard somewhere that Splash Damage had actually helped out with the PvP aspect and not so much as the story. Did you have something to say, Newf?
Yeah, just let me point out the one thing that before I forget is that look at Uncharted. Uncharted 4 was made by Naughty Dog. So was Uncharted The Lost Legacy. But obviously that wasn't made by the lead team at Naughty Dog. It was passed off to, say, a team within Naughty Dog. There's obviously different divisions of the branch, and they made that game. It still looked phenomenal. It played just like Uncharted, and that was still a fantastic game. It was a little shorter, but they pulled off a hell of a game with Uncharted The Lost Legacy. So, like, this is just what I'm saying, that these studios now, especially the AAA ones, they put a lot of money into them. They're huge now. They're hundreds of people strong. And when they're talented enough and they got enough people, they can do multiple projects.
Yes. Exactly, and I think that's just what we're seeing right here is, with the success of Gears of War 4 and its ongoing success, because I don't know if you guys have played it recently, but they're still adding content to it. Not so much as the maps anymore. I haven't seen a map drop in a while, but that could be happening again. But they just started a new season of competitive. They're adding more and more characters into the PvP side of it. Those crates and everything. Those are fun as hell. So they're still supporting this game, and I don't think they're going to stop because their competitive scene, the esports teams, are madness. Mexico City is on fire for Gears of War 4, so that's not going anywhere. And if Splash Damage had a hand in that, bring them back in. The door's wide open, dude. The door's open for you. It's unlocked. Come right on in. And if any other team has anything to offer that's going to benefit, then by all means, go for it. But to go off on a tangent and say, oh, it's, Coalition is dropping the ball. They're letting somebody else handle it. It's going to be another Andromeda situation. I think Coalition's smart enough to say, hey, you remember that Andromeda situation? Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Mm-hmm. So, Bloody, what do you think, man?
And I was about to say this, and Native brings up a really big point, is that Splash Damage did work on the multiplayer. They had a heavy hand in helping with the maps, helping with the balance, while Coalition focused a lot on the big cinematographic parts of the single player. The fact that these announcements came out that they're looking for people for the single player isn't a bad thing. One, if you looked at the job titles that they're looking for, they're specifically looking for artists to help with building. One of the big things is they're looking for a storyboard artist. If anyone doesn't know what a storyboard artist, all they're doing is they're working with the script writers to put pictures on what they want the story to look like and kind of help build it out, so that way the art team can do the 3D models, can help build the scenes that they want to really put into this. The fact that they're getting help from Splash Damage, who has a fairly decent pedigree. Most people will remember Splash Damage as the team that did Brink. Brink was a very ambitious game that just fell flat because of the fact that they tried to do too much. It was still a fun game. The only big issue that I had with it was the AI in that game was trash. But for the most part, Brink was a solid game that had some very unique styles, and they helped out with Coalition before. People fail to realize that big AAA studios pull in so many outsourced teams quite often. Look at Destiny 2 for the biggest thing. It wasn't just just the team at Bungie. No, they had two other studios under Activision that were helping out with them. And note that the team from Bungie that was working on Destiny 2 alone was 300 people. They had two other teams of 200 from these other two studios to help build that game. People fail to understand that outsourcing is a common thing within AAA development now. And if you're pulling in a team that's worked with you in the past, that knows the system, knows the engine you're using, has hands-on experience with that franchise, you have nothing to worry about. The Coalition isn't going anywhere. We've seen that the rumor that they were working on something else was shut down. Rod Ferguson came back specifically because he does not want to walk away from the Gears franchise. He's heading up the Coalition studio after Phil and them took Black Tusk and turned it into the Coalition specifically for this franchise. They're not going to do anything stupid to endanger that. So the fact is that people are getting this worked up over them talking about Splash Damage helping out is stupid. You don't know the extent of the fact of what they're doing. They're just pulling in excessive help, as well as the fact that they're storyboard artists and they're just helping to put everything with the others. You don't know how many people are doing the coding. You don't know how many people are in the art teams.
Don't forget either the game like Modern Warfare 3. Remember, that's when Infinity Ward went through that fucking shit where Vince Zampella and the other guy jumped out right in the middle of production because of the legal hassles. And look at all the guys, look at all the teams they brought in. If you look at the credits on that game, it's ridiculous. They got like four studios that went in with Infinity Ward to help build that game, and the game still turned out to be a decent game, and turned out to be one of Activision's biggest sellers.
That was one of my favorite Modern Warfare games right there.
Exactly. And that's what people fail to understand, is that this isn't something that's uncommon, and the fact that they're trying to use this, especially because of the fact that it's a Microsoft title, they're trying to twist the knife as much as they can to turn it bad. We've seen it within so many of Sony's own studios. with the fact of, as you put it, with Naughty Dog. Look at how many projects they were doing. They had all their Uncharted teams, they had their The Last of Us teams, and everything else that was going on. You know that Santa Monica Studios, who does God of War, had to go through 3 different studios to help put out the last God of War. We don't know how many are working on the new one. People don't pay attention to that fact. These are public documents because of the fact that they're public posts to pull in new talent. That's the big thing, is they're looking for new talent. If someone is talented and gets pulled in, that's a great thing. The fact that people are using it to go negative is the thing that's annoying about it.
Man,
woo. Well said, brother. Well said, dude.
Yeah. Hey, that's the kind of shit I'm liking. All right. Shout out to Bloody for that rant. That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. It's just kind of negative, press for a game that's not even close to being out yet. But I got a special guest for the next topic. I think you guys might not like him.
We have to do something about
Oh.
and also video games.
Dear God.
More and more people say the level.
Wait, you guys were talking. Let me start that over, all right? This is our guest, all right? Hold up.
Hey, tell your guests to shut up. We don't want to hear that.
Maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it, and also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. And then you go the further step, and that's the movies. You see these movies.
All right. That's enough. That's enough out of you.
Thank
all
you.
right?
Thank you. Oh, man. I was getting a tumor listening to that, dude.
Okay. So, Mr. Trump there, he's talking about video game violence. I mean, I've heard so many people talk about video game violence. It's curious that they pull it out of their ass when stuff starts hitting the fan, right? They immediately go to that. Sorry to tell you, but the planet Earth has been around for a long time. Violence has existed, wars have existed, people have been getting killed way before video games were existing. So yeah, Trump's blaming it on video games. Or some fool in Kentucky that was saying, hey, violence in video games, that's the problem, right? Let's talk about this topic, guys.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and kill this off for a second. Violence in video games does not... There have been, amazing studies, extensive studies done on this, and they all point to the same thing, that violence in video games has no bearing. Unless you have a predetermined condition, unless you have a condition that, prior to the introduction of violent video games, unless you have a mental illness prior to the violent video games, there is nothing that points to violent video games making somebody violent. There's been extensive studies on this. You can find them all over Google. You can find them everywhere. I mean, I think Harvard did some studies, and I think it's just another narrative. And I watched a video, and even this teenager had said the same thing. He was being interviewed by, I don't know which fucking station it was, but he says basically gives him the same narrative, exactly what Trump was saying, and the teenager comes out and says that's a really pathetic excuse to not do something legally. There's no way in hell that's the reason why acts of violence are going forward. If that's the case, if you can blame violent video games for physical violence and these tragedies that are occurring, then we need to really, 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 really sit down and have a talk about religion. Yeah. We need to really, really, really sit down and have a talk about religion.
So I want to preface this, okay? I don't tweet about politics. I don't talk about them. This is a direct impact on the thing I love, okay? Mm-hmm. The thing that I'm passionate about. When people say this kind of nonsense, it just really gets to me. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I definitely don't want to mix politics or religion or any of that stuff when it comes to video games, because it's our escape. But I just want to talk about the topic, okay? I want to talk the topic. It's a topic. It's not. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about your religion. I don't want to get into any of that. I just want to talk about the topic: is violence in video games directly impacting the way that things are going down in life? I say no. Who else wants to jump in here?
I'll take the bullet on this because I had seen this earlier, and when you brought it up, man, it stirred something in me. Because one, it shows how ignorant of a conversation he's trying to lead, that he says that people keep bringing it up. No one has brought up that argument in years. There's one senator or governor or whatever who brings it up after every time, because the fact that they don't want to bring up the big issue. If you say that video games and movies are the issue, how come we're not seeing it rampant across Europe? How come we're not seeing it rampant across Asia? How come we're not seeing it in other big areas? Because of the fact that they have stricter gun laws. They have a lot more preface because they're not afraid to go into the conversation. You're dodging it and looking for a scapegoat. They did it way back in the 60s and 70s by blaming rock and roll as being the devil's music and doing all that. Now they're just using the modern medium to as the scapegoat for now, because they don't want to talk about it. That's not the conversation. You're showing that your ignorance in this, because the fact that as Native and everyone else has brought out, there's been so many studies done on this topic, on people trying to show there is no correlation. There's people who play games like Manhunt and GTA and do all the crazy stuff that they can in that game, but when they get shown actual acts of violence in some of these studies, they get sick to their stomach. They're turned off by it. They don't want to see that in real life. They don't want to do that. There's a difference between reality and you know what we do in games. Not everything that people do in video games they want to do in reality.
Exactly.
And the fact that they keep doing this is the worst part about it. They need to stop avoiding the conversation and go into it.
You can see down the line as well that they've just been jumping from medium to medium. Exactly. I mean, back when Columbine happened, they said it was because of Marilyn Manson and his music and metal. That's what they jumped to. They jumped on music. So I mean, it's just snowballing. And now video games are becoming much more mainstream. You have casual gaming on mobile phones, PC. I mean, gaming is literally everywhere now.
It's mainstream.
Yeah, and it's like, especially look at Mario. Mario is probably the biggest name for video games ever. Just because people have been playing it for almost 4 decades doesn't mean everyone wants to go and jump on the back of a turtle.
Exactly. Like, how many of us have wanted to go out and jump on a giant mushroom? Or
I'm gonna plead the fifth there.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's crazy that the actions of a few, no matter how they were influenced, have to take precedent over the actions of millions. I mean, there are millions of people playing games one way or another around the world on a cell phone, through a console, through a PC, and they're not committing crimes. But we're going to get tarnished with one brush because one kid has a bad episode, takes a gun, and all of a sudden games are the cause of everything. I mean, come on, dude. How fucking stupid.
I mean, let's think we are.
Yeah, Donald Trump. Let me ask you a question. What influenced Genghis Khan back in the day? What fucking made Adolf Hitler fucking do the genocide? What's stopping the guys in Rwanda, the fucking genocides in Rwanda? You think that was caused by video games? Like, come on, dude, like, fucking grow the fuck up and get a brain, man. Like, you were the dumbest ass fucking president I've ever seen in my life. Fucking Barack Obama put you to shame. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. I'm sorry getting political, but motherfucker, that fucking dude is dumber than the farts out of my ass. And now he's just talking through his asshole.
Yeah, if you listen to the video that Salty just played in its totality, you can see how many times he said the same sentence. He's redundant. It's incredibly redundant, and he said the same sentence 5 or 6 different ways. Yeah. 5 or 6 different ways. So he's got nothing to back it up with. He's got nothing to back it up with.
And to go off with what you're saying, Newf, you're not wrong. He's a fucking idiot because no one does the studies of what we do. There are so many charities that go out, so many events for video gamers. Come on, look at the annual Games Done Quick. Look at how many different
Extra Life. You have TakeThis.org.
We do so much more than he and anyone else does, and they want to point that shit back at us because of what one person does that has no correlation. They don't realize how out they go out on things like this.
In fact, most studies show the exact opposite. My son is autistic, and I've done extensive research on, what can gaming do for him? And extensive studies have showed that gaming can actually help influence an autistic child, an autistic toddler with social interaction, with overcoming anxiety, social anxieties, with becoming more open to themselves and developing creativity within them. I mean, there's a whole, I'm sorry, Salty, but I do want to shout this out because it's huge. There is an entire private server dedicated to autistic kids. I'll throw that link up in Twitter later on tonight, but there is an entire, and you have to actually apply to get into that server. You as a parent have to apply for your child to get into that server. If you're going to tell me that because there's a diamond sword in fucking Minecraft and a kid can beat up a cow with it or something, that's going to make that kid violent in 5 to 10 years, I'm going to say you're full of shit because this kid just built the fucking Taj Mahal with blocks. Like, come on, dude. Don't give me that
exactly.
shit.
And let's talk about how video games actually help depression. Studies have showed that they actually just as effective as antidepressants in the treat, like making you get over and make you feel better about depression. I can link those to you as well. It's just a scapegoat. Let's be honest. Okay. It's a scapegoat. It's just another excuse. And when it comes to video games, I'm very passionate about it. I don't like to see the hobby that I participate in dumped on people just because it's convenient, right? It's convenient to throw it to the side and say, hey, this is the excuse because I don't do it, right?
And the problem with this medium, unlike movies and music, video games is the newest medium. You know what I mean? It's infantile compared to other mediums it's gauged against. You know, our industry that we love is still growing up in front of our eyes. We've seen how far games have come in the last 20 years. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And yeah, they're more interactive, but that's what makes games so damn great. It's because in these games we can live out lives we'll never be able to have. We can be in worlds we'll never explore. You can't really do that with a movie, you know what I'm saying? But movies have been doing shit way worse than games, like from the dawn of time, but games always get the friggin' scapegoat. Look, you got to look at the big issues, man. And the bottom line is, like, I'm not against like somebody having a gun or anything. Like I said, I don't want to go too political, but there has to be better solutions to what's going on right now. And you know, and like again, just another scapegoat. It just once again he just proves how like. I don't know, just how narrow-minded and he's just deflecting the problem. You know, dude, why don't you take half of the money the NRA is sponsoring all you politicians, send it to Puerto Rico so they get the fucking power back on, you know?
So
exactly.
It's a topic that I knew was going to get it was going to get salty in here, but it's called the Saltiest podcast, so you know.
Hey, Salty, I want to say something real quick.
All right,
hey, so years ago, it's probably like 10 years ago. Everyone know Penn and Teller?
Yes.
Yep. So they did one with the little kid, the kid that like loved GTA and stuff, and they actually took him to a gun range, and he didn't even want to fire their weapon; and just started crying. Okay, you know, so it just goes to show you that I mean, it doesn't necessarily cause violence. There's definitely more to it. I just want to point that out that they did do a video. If anyone hasn't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's pretty. I don't want to say it's cool, but it's cool to see. You get what I'm trying to say, though. Yeah,
it's a powerful video. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so definitely check it out if you guys haven't seen it.
Yeah, and you're right. The fact that they keep going on this sort of medium is just kind of showing the factor that they don't want to actually just go into it. That's where it all lies down to, is that they refuse to go into the actual conversation that would make a difference for this. They don't want to talk about it. They just use whatever they can to get away from it. That's where it comes down.
I guarantee you, if Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony were pumping some fucking money into Donald Trump's pockets, he'd be forgetting about video games pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't want to beat this subject into the ground, but it's just something that I wanted to bring up. It definitely is something to think about. It's a topic that affects you. So again, like I said before, this channel isn't for politics or religion. This is kind of a one-off thing. I felt like bringing it up because it directly impacted video games. So just
one thing that I wanted to
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just understand that this isn't going to be a status quo. We're not going to be in here every week talking about this shit.
I apologize if I went off on a rant.
No, that's fine. I love what
Canada. I'm up here in Canada watching all this stuff. You know, we here in Canada, we do follow what happens in the United States closely because, you know, essentially America is a heartbeat on the world, you know, and a lot of what happens in the United States does reflect on us in Canada. A lot of the policies that go through in your country, somewhere along the line, start to take its toll in our country as well. Do you know what I mean? mean? So we have to watch how things unfold very closely. You're the measuring stick by which a lot of other countries in this world are gauged. So yeah, we take notice of these things. We see how the social trends are changing. And I mean, I feel so bad for those families and stuff. But like, again, it's a stupid scapegoat. And like I said, I apologize. But again, this is a hobby that we know and love. It's a harmless hobby. It's done more good than it's ever done bad. And to hear these guys speaking out their assholes about, because he probably hasn't played a game in his life. If he did, it's probably like Texas Hold'em or some shit on his phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, you're right there. And I'm sorry to cut you off on this one, but you're right, especially for me. Okay, I'm a Texan, like full-blooded, straight out the country Texan boy. All right, we love our guns. However, if you know how the laws work here in the U.S., it is so damn easy to get a gun compared to getting a mature rated game. All right, let that put a fact that getting a game or getting cigarettes is harder than it is to get a gun. Because when I was 13 and 14 playing like Call of Duty and stuff, the store that I went to, the GameStop that I went to, I was close to everyone in there because I've been going for years. But I still had to have my mom come in and talk to the manager to let me get the game. And she knew and he knew, but it was the law. And that was the rules that they followed because it's very heavy. Same as getting cigarettes. You go to any store under the age of 18, you cannot get cigarettes. They will not sell it to you. However, you can go to a gun show anywhere in the fucking US under 18, under the age of 16, and be able to get a gun for nearly $50. You can get a pistol anywhere at a gun show because they're so lenient there. That's the conversation that needs to be happening. It's not about gun reform. It's about stricter regulations on the gun laws we have.
See, one of the things that I'm tripping out on, and one of the things that I had mentioned earlier, is that when we talk about, we see all these. I'm going to go on a little rant here, Salty. I apologize beforehand, but we see a lot of these social crises come up where people are saying things like, oh, you see this demographic come out and say something against the administration right now, and then you see another one come up, and then you see another one come up, and you yourself, you don't identify with any of those things. I don't identify myself by race or by religion or by politics or anything like that. The way that I look at myself is I'm a gamer. I consider that's my identity is in, I play video games. I love video games. I want to talk about video games. That's how I identify myself. And I'm sure that a lot of people in the community do the same. And now that now that we've been off to the side watching all these other demographics and all these other people who identify with different areas in life, they're saying something about the administration. We're standing on the sideline saying, oh, look at that one standing up. Oh, look at another one standing up. Whatever. We've got our stuff where our community's over here. We're not being fucked with, so whatever. But now that we're in the limelight, I want to see gamers stop fucking talking about console wars. I don't want to see shit about PS4 versus Xbox One versus PC. I want to see our community unify. I want to see fucking PlayStation bra and, crap gamer come to terms and say, you know what? Yeah, we need to put that shit aside for a minute, and we need to talk about what's going on over here. Because if there's ever an opportunity for us to unify over something, it's got to be this. Because we don't know if censorship is coming. We don't know if any of that shit's going to happen. But if it does, I think that we as gamers should be prepared for that, especially the bigger, the bigger YouTubers, the big old influencers and stuff. So everybody in chat, just please take this into consideration. Talk about unification. Talk about why gaming is important to you. Set aside all the bullshit with the fucking console wars, with the fucking teraflops. Throw all that shit off to the side and unify as gamers in itself. That's it, dude. That's it.
I mean, that's what we're preaching here. Our podcast is called the Saltiest Podcast, and yeah, we do get salty, but our mantra is unification. Like when we're building a community in the chat, we want you guys to say hello to people when they enter. We want people to feel included. It doesn't matter if you like PlayStation, Switch, or mobile games or whatever. We're just trying to build a positive community because let's be honest. Phil Spencer talked about it. We might not get into that topic today, but he had a speech, and it was amazing to hear. You should check it out. He talked about toxicity in the gaming community, and it is a problem. It really gets heavy being in this community, being a content creator. and seeing the negativity that just is seeped through the community.
Yeah.
And the drama that people, it's called crumb side. It's the mentality that everybody wants drama. Everybody wants negativity. It really weighs on you as a person. So that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to just talk about gaming, man. And this is a topic that obviously from the sounds of people and the way that they talk, they're passionate about it. It's, you know, it's directly affecting gaming. And that's what we're talking about. That's why we have these podcasts. That's why we give our opinions. It's a platform to do that. So I do appreciate you guys in giving your opinions. And just because we have different opinions, surprise, we can still remain friends, right? There's a lot of mentality out there where you got to be in a bubble and you got to exactly think the way I do. And if you don't, I'll block you or I won't be your friend. That's not how we roll here. People can have different opinions and we can still be friends as long as you keep, like, there's some bullshit that I don't want in here. I don't want to get it too political or too religious or whatever. I want to talk gaming, and this is gaming. So let's conclude our thoughts here.
You talk about religion when Far Cry 5 comes out. That's what we
There you go.
There you go. Oh, goddamn pig fuckers. We'll be getting it done.
Hey, Salty, I'm gonna finish this out with one last thought, so we can move on to the rest of the good stuff that we got. And it's gonna tie off with what Native was saying, is that this is one of those things we truly need to unite about. People fail to look at it. Fuck the console war shit right now. It don't matter. Like what you like, that's fine. Right now, there's so many things. You got to think that gamers are being hit on so many different platforms right now. We're being hit in so many different directions. Now's the time where we need to stand together. One, we're already still in danger with everything else that was happening for net neutrality here in the US, for how that's going to affect our online consoles and everything else that we do because of what they want to do with that. That's something we still have to focus on. Now they're trying to turn the narrative on us about us being the issue for any sort of violence nowadays, and they're gonna put the scrutinize on that. Then we still have the issue still ongoing with loot boxes and the regulations on that because of certain things in the industry. We have all eyes on us on so many different directions that now's the time where we need to make our stance as a collective, as gamers as a whole. It doesn't matter where you come from. Gamers as a whole, we have to make our voices heard. We made it known how we felt about loot boxes and all those microtransaction things. Now's the time where we need to make our stance on this conversation of them blaming us for violence, on us, them blaming us for everything else. We have so much stuff here that we need to make a point of.
It's true, man. And like I said, I think it's a good topic to think about. So anyway, that's going to conclude the topic and all the nice little salty little rants that we had and all that good stuff. I appreciate everybody in chat. The chat's been lit tonight. We'll go on our last topic. It's a light little topic. Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a film in 2019. Let's talk about it.
So the best part about that is look at who the director is, if anyone's seen that.
I didn't see it. Who is it?
I believe it's the director from the Deadpool movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this is something crazy is because of the fact that there was a quick talk about the Sonic Hedgehog movie. Like I believe back in 2017, because I talked about this, and I believe it was Tim Miller who helped direct Deadpool 1, and
TJ Miller, right?
Yeah, no. TJ Miller was an actor. Tim Miller was one of the directors.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
And when he walked away from that movie, he was quickly picked up to do this movie. And from some of the early stuff that they're talking about, this Sonic movie is going to be kind of like it was back in Sonic Adventures. Sonic exists in the real world, and it's just going to be some stupid, over-the-top nonsense that makes no sense. That's only going to give Sonic the more memeing aspect that he already has.
Hey, shout out to Sonic. I know he has a good place in our hearts. It's hard for these movies to translate over. I just wanted a light little topic to end the night, and it's been kind of heavy tonight. You guys interested in this shit at all?
Straight to DVDs.
It just depends on how it's done. I mean, a lot of us are Sonic fans. We've owned the games. We're fans, maybe not as diehard as we used to be, but he holds a special place in the hearts of many. I like Sonic the Hedgehog, and sure, I'd be interested in a movie, but it depends on how they do it. I'm not a big fan of when they take the CGI character and then they put him just juxtaposed or whatever you want to call it, like into like a real world scenario. You know, I always find it look corny. Like just do the whole thing CGI, all the characters and environments, just a full CGI Sonic movie. I'd be cool with that. I just don't want to see like the CGI Sonic and he's standing next to probably Jason Bateman because he's in everything. You know, and that sort of, and then it just becomes tacky, right? The scenes look kind of fun, like Garfield, like you know when they did the first Garfield movie, like even that was like I was down with it to a degree, but then all of a sudden they made Odie a real dog and Garfield was fake. I was like, what's up with that?
It's just jarring when they do that, man. It's very jarring.
Should have been the fake dog too with CGI, and that would have been because he didn't even look like Odie, right? It's like a real dog and a fake cat. But anyway, it's cool that Sonic's coming out, but for God's sakes, people get the Gears of War movie out the door. That's what we want.
Exactly. Yes. So that's a nice little topic just to let you guys know. It's been a trip tonight. Our first podcast ever on Thursday. Just to let you know, this is a permanent thing like we've been talking about. It's going to be a permanent thing going forward. I just want to thank our special guest, Newf, Nukem, for being here. It's been a blast. I love talking games with you. I love your take there. I'd like to thank everybody in chat. I can't name you guys off personally, but it's been awesome to see you guys talking back and forth about games. In the end, that's what it's about, right? And again, Szechuan sauce at McDonald's.
Go get it.
Holla, 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 holla.
Did they say when it was going to be coming out, though?
Tweet me those pictures.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, let's
let a little bit of cesspool sauce go on the wife's lips.
So let's get, without further ado, let's get our outros going. Nukem, our special guest. Where can people find you, my friend?
Want to know?
I just wanted to warn you guys, this might be my first and last time on the Saltiest podcast. And all the
whatever, dude. Whatever. You're coming back, dude. You're coming back.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was an absolute blast. I love doing podcasts. You guys are fucking the best. People showing up in the chat, too. There's so many people I recognize that have been supporters of all of us, supporters of me, whether it's through Mixer, on Xbox, PlayStation, wherever it might be. So thanks to everybody. And thanks, man, for inviting me. It was really good. Glad I could be here. Sometimes Thursdays are difficult, but you caught me at a good time. Glad I could be here. Glad I could chime in on some great topics, some lighthearted stuff, and some more serious stuff. And I do apologize if I got a little bit ranty, maybe over the top on that. But, you know, like, again, it's a topic that's near and dear to all of us. And you know what? If you're a Nintendo fan, I suppose in 20 years you'll be lucky because that's all we'll have is we'll just have a little fat plumber bouncing on mushrooms, and that'll be the only games that exist, right? But but you know that it is what it is. But again, man, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. Everybody that's on the panel, guys, you guys rock. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. Next up, Bloody Knuckles. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Bloody Knuckles, and of course, they can find me every Saturday on my show, The Smash Podcast. We talk about all things nerdy, comics, movies, anime, manga, whatever you want to talk about at the time. We're there. Of course, you can also find me Wednesday nights on the Vibration Podcast. Other than that, you can also find me on Xbox at Bloody Knuckles.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Punkittish Gaming, thanks for dropping that $10 Google Play code, I guess. Hopefully it was redeemed, right?
Yeah, Predator got it, man. Saw there was a little confusion. I think everyone's trying to redeem it on Xbox. I thought it was straightforward. They're like, you're missing 5 digits. I'm like, I don't think so.
Google Play on Xbox.
Yeah, I was like, did that feature come? I didn't know.
Get that on Xbox. Come on, make that happen, Phil.
Nah, man, y'all can find me, Punkittish Gaming, on Twitter, on Xbox, just Punkittish, and obviously now here Thursdays, 8:30 Eastern. And again, thanks to the chat. You guys are awesome. And again, sorry for the confusion, man, but I'm glad that we got that code out, man. It was a great Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Native, where can people find you?
Let's go. You can find me at Irrelevant Native on Twitter. You can find me at Irrelevant Native on Xbox. My gamer tag is in my Twitter. And if you don't know it, then I don't know what to tell you. But you'll probably find it in the description, I hope. Salty. I'm going to throw that back at you.
Yeah, it'll be there.
So link is in the description. But yeah, man, no, thank you again, Newf, for all the topics. Thank you again for all the banter and just the insider perspective you brought, dude. It's been fun, man. It's been fun.
What happens when you bring old farts on the cast?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, Newf, me and you always talking to chat. It was a good time to actually talk to you on the panel, man.
Yes,
you too,
sir.
buddy. Yeah, man, your rants and points were definitely on point tonight, brother.
Yes, it was amazing, guys. Without further ado, I guess I'll give my outro. You're on my channel, Saltiest Gaming. Like I said before, this is a permanent move to Thursday at 8:30 p.m. We're going to be having some awesome guests. I have them lined up, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate all you guys for being here and all your awesome conversations. We do appreciate that. Thanks for the super chats and everything like that. As always, I'm going to be putting out content as much as I can on Xbox news and gaming news in general. You can find me on Twitter at Saltiest Gaming. One word, the I is a 1. So without further ado, that's it for episode 24 of the Saltiest podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, stay salty, my friends.
Salty. Later.